Greetings. I am Stephen Marks. I'm a professor at Harvard University and also a visiting professor and special advisor to the Vice Chancellor at OP Jindal Global University. My purpose in talking to you today is to try to impress upon you the value of learning how to do research and to carry out research as early as possible in your career as a student and then as a professional after you finish your university studies. I think there are about 6 or 7 reasons that might help you understand the value of getting started early. The first reason is what I would call the development of an inquiring mind. You need to learn how to pose and answer questions about subjects that are not just the ones that are in your lesson plans and in your school books. You need to learn to pose questions that are of interest to you and that will be of interest to others, but that are not self-evident from your regular studies. In other words, to explore new subjects, to use descriptive, comparative, and analytical approaches to learn about a new subject. So that's the inquiring mind, which is, I think, the first reason why research is valuable to you. The second reason is what I would call developing convincing arguments. If you do research, you must learn how to structure your arguments to be convincing and logical. Now that means that you pose a question, you develop a structured way of answering that question, and you reach a conclusion at the end that the reader or the listener will be convinced is worth accepting. That's the convincing argument, justification for learning how to do research. And you acquire that by doing the research and developing that skill. The third one are the specific research skills, by which I mean that you need to acquire the basic skills of accessing resources in libraries and online. It is essential to use reliable sources and scrupulously avoid misinformation, slanted sources of information, and especially in print, broadcast, and social media. So all methods of research will expose you to a wide range of sources of information. Learn how to find the reliable sources. And when you do field work, which is one of the most exciting ways of carrying out research, when you go out into the field and interview people and collect data and analyze those data, you need to abide by special methodological and ethical rules and requirements. And that's also an exciting way to do research, is to create your own data. So whether you're creating your own data through field work or carrying out library-based research work, be sure to adhere to the highest methodological and ethical standards and utilize the best research skills. The fourth reason for carrying out research early on is academic freedom. By carrying out research projects on the topic of interest to you, you will free yourself from the pattern of saying or writing what you think your parents or your teachers want you to say. You will learn to think for yourself and to think critically. Now stop and think about that for a moment. Think critically. That means not to accept the patterns that others present to you, that you find in books, that others say to you, but to decide, what do I think about this subject matter? Don't assume what others say or the truth. Find out for yourself. That academic freedom is one of the most precious values that you acquire by carrying out research. The fifth skill that you acquire by carrying out research is to respect academic integrity. In other words, you need to train yourself to adhere to the highest standards of academic honesty and integrity, and in particular, you need to ensure that all ideas, data, findings, reasoning, conclusions, and recommendations that are not your own, that are not original to you, must be properly attributed to the author of them. So you don't simply draw upon somebody else's writings because you agree with them, reproduce them, and treat them as though your own. You cite them. You use referencing tools. And if you fail to do that, you will be committing plagiarism with serious consequences. There are disciplinary consequences. You can be removed from your university, you can be kicked out, but also your own sense of self-worth. Who are you? How are you doing this research? What is your own value? If you are borrowing from others, you're diminishing your own self-worth. So academic freedom and integrity is the fifth reason for learning research early on. The sixth reason is to acquire communication skills. You need to improve and protect grammar, spelling, syntax, and vocabulary so that you are confident in making your work eventually publishable. This requires a lot of practice. You need to expand your writing skills into speaking skills by making oral presentations based on your research with the clarity and flow necessary for good public speaking and to convince your audience. So whether it's in writing or oral, these communication skills are extremely valuable for whatever profession you engage in, not just academic work, but in all professions. So finally, these 6 dimensions of research prepare you not only for academic careers in teaching and research for publication, but also for practically all professional careers, since effective communication and presentation of convincing evidence and arguments help you to succeed. In my own case, research skills were critical in the career that I had in the United Nations as an international civil servant for several decades and working in foundations and civil society organizations. So it's not just a matter of what you the skills that you need to be a good academic producing research. These are also skills that help you through your professional life, in business, in law, in medicine, whatever you do. An inquiring mind, convincing arguments, research skills, academic freedom, academic integrity, communication skills will better prepare you for an exciting and rewarding life. And that is my final wish to you, is that you are able to draw upon the research skills that you will acquire to have such an exciting and rewarding life. Thank you very much.